For our second look at nonviolent action, I want to talk about why civil resistance works. I'm going to be basing this discussion largely off Erica Chenoweth's book called Why Civil Resistance Works. One caveat before I start. What works is often, for many people, a determining factor of what constitutes morality, and I don't at all want you to think that way here. I'm not trying to argue that because nonviolence works, therefore it's good. Rather, I'm going to argue that it works because it's good. Because I come from a Christian perspective, and I believe that God created the world, and that He created the world to run in a certain way, that therefore the things that more align with who this God is and how He created the world to be should tend to work better. In a fallen and sinful world, that's not always the case, but I'm not usually surprised when I find it to be. I like Erica Chenoweth's book, in large part because it reminds me kind of Lee Strobel's Case for Christ. And the reason that book can be powerful is because it includes enemy attestation. Chenoweth, like Strobel, was at one time an antagonist to the message that she ended up preaching. In my mind, that provides a little bit of credibility because it provides objectivity. I know that when Chenoweth set out to make her case, she set out to make the opposite one. What Chenoweth discovered was that when she looked back over the last 100 or so years of warfare and conflict, that nonviolent action was far more likely to succeed than violent action. And when violent action or nonviolent action succeeded, the nonviolent successes were far more likely to lead towards lasting positive results. That's a pretty easy empirical case to make by looking at the various conflicts throughout history, but that still leaves the question why civil resistance works. The major suggestion as to why civil resistance works is people power. Non-violent resistance was able to garner far more physical support than violent resistance. And that makes sense because non-violent resistance is inclusive. It includes women, able-bodied and non-able-bodied. It includes pregnant mothers. It can include children. It can include the elderly. People don't need to be able to shoot. You don't need arms and supplies. It's fairly straightforward, and anybody across all classes can be involved. Since all power, including tyrannical power, basically relies on the consent of the populace, to have such a broad swath of people join in arms, or unarmed, is a very powerful and scary thing for government. To hear more about Chenoweth's book and why civil resistance works, check out the full episode.